Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
I was lost in waves of pleasure unlike anything I'd ever known before, completely captivated by the harmonious movements of both women. The intensity of being with one person was already significant, but having two people simultaneously stimulate every sense in my body created an indescribable, overwhelming sensation. Each time Jasmine's delicate touch synchronized with Olivia's soft lips exploring my body, my nerves responded intensely. These new sensations and rhythms, so different from my marital relationship, transported me to an entirely different realm. While guilt about Sophia lingered in one corner of my mind, that thought somehow intensified the pleasure in that moment. I'm Michael Wilson, 38 years old. My wife Sophia is 43, and we've been married for 15 years. Despite our age difference, Sophia maintains her youthful vibrancy, and I find her increasingly attractive lately. Her brown hair, sparkling eyes, and those charming dimples that appear when she smiles are exactly what made me fall for her at first sight. We have a fifth-grade daughter who beautifully combines Sophia's intelligence with my stubbornness. Now that the intensive parenting phase has eased, we have more time for ourselves. We often share evenings with wine after dinner, discussing our daily lives. However, after so many years together, our marriage has inevitably settled into routine. Early in our relationship, Sophia's slightest touch would send shivers through me, but now it just feels like part of everyday life. Our intimate relationship decreased after our daughter was born, but has largely recovered recently. Still, I sense we both crave something fresh. Sometimes when looking into Sophia's eyes in bed, I could tell she desired something new as well. Neither of us could verbalize these honest feelings, perhaps prevented by our mutual responsibility to not disappoint each other. Sophia has a meticulous personality. She skillfully handles household chores and perfectly manages our daughter's school events and extracurricular activities. She's an excellent cook who delights our family with various dishes every evening. Her lasagna is particularly one of my favorites. I'm an ordinary office worker with infrequent business trips. While I spend time chatting with my family after work, our couple time has lost its special quality, becoming increasingly predictable. Our nights followed the same predetermined script. In our relationship, with the same positions and sequence every time, we were growing desensitized. I wasn't certain if Sophia was truly satisfied, and I felt something was missing too. Sometimes after she fell asleep, I would search online for new approaches to marital relationships, but never found the courage to implement them. We maintained a stable bond as a couple, but the excitement was gradually fading. 15 years had brought us stability at the cost of cooling passion. Then, while browsing an internet forum, I stumbled upon the intriguing concept of wife swapping. Initially, I laughed it off thinking, no way, does this really happen? But one evening, as Sophia and I relaxed on the sofa watching Netflix, a documentary on that very topic unexpectedly appeared in our recommendations. It presented wife swapping as a method to overcome the monotony of long-term marriages. While watching, I casually wondered aloud, what would this actually be like? Does it really work? Surprisingly, Sophia smiled slightly and joked, it might not be bad. Could provide some new stimulation. We brushed it off as casual conversation at that moment, but lying in bed later that night, I began to consider that maybe it wasn't something to dismiss so lightly. Looking further into it online, there appeared to be legitimate cases where such approaches successfully brought new vitality to marital relationships. A few days later, inspired by that topic, Sophia greeted me after work with a glass of wine and a slightly shy expression, saying, "So, I looked more into it online, and wife-swapping circles actually exist." I responded skeptically, "Really? Such things really exist?" She took out her smartphone and showed me the screen, pointing, "Look here, this seems like a group that's run quite professionally." I checked it out of simple curiosity, but it's more organized than I expected. The screen detailed a group where couples of various ages, from their 30s to 60s, regularly arranged luxurious parties or small getaways. The participating couples exchanged partners in a respectful, comfortable atmosphere to break through daily monotony and experience new stimulation. I was surprised but felt an unusual curiosity rising within me. Is it really safe to attend? Could it be some kind of scam or illegal? I cautiously asked. Sophia, swirling her wine glass, replied, "Well, what do you think?" At first glance, it seems to operate quite carefully. But honestly, I think it might provide good stimulation for our relationship, smiling more brightly than usual. Discovering this surprisingly proactive side of Sophia after 15 years together made my heart race involuntarily. For the next few days, we exchanged fantasies about what if we really participated, like secretive conversations between teenage lovers. We discussed practical concerns. Would I feel jealous seeing Sophia with someone else? Could I be comfortable with another woman? What about our daughter? But since she was already in upper elementary school and occasionally stayed at her grandmother's or had sleepovers at friends' houses, we thought one night might be feasible. Above all, I felt it could be a new experience worth cautiously exploring. The decisive moment came when Sophia showed me a notice that the group was hosting a party at a luxurious hotel the following month. Looking at the photos featuring magnificent chandeliers and elegant interiors, Sophia's eyes sparkled as she said, "Isn't this romantic? It's like a scene from a movie." Examining the pictures closely, I thought, if it's such a beautiful and formal place, it might actually be reassuring. It doesn't seem like just anyone can participate. After a brief conversation, we agreed it might be worth trying once. If we don't like it, we can always leave. With the mindset that this was merely an exploratory visit and that we could leave immediately if uncomfortable, we completed the application form. Surprisingly quickly, we received a response from the organizers saying, "We've been waiting for a discreet and dignified couple like you. Please do join us." Of course, it included payment details for a substantial amount. With a mixture of nervousness and excitement, we left our daughter at her grandmother's house and prepared for the evening. Sophia took extra care with her makeup and wore an elegant black dress she hadn't worn in a long time. I also dressed up in a suit and applied cologne. The venue appeared to be a luxury resort converted for the occasion, located in a secluded area on the outskirts of the city, and the road there was somewhat dark. After exiting the taxi and wondering, is this really the right place? Did we take a wrong turn? While checking the map on our smartphones, we finally spotted a large iron gate. Entering through it, we saw a brilliantly lit building that resembled a luxury European hotel. "Wow, this is amazing. It's like a movie set," we both exclaimed in admiration. As we approached the entrance, a young man dressed in formal attire greeted us with a bright smile. "Are you the Wilson couple? Welcome. We hope you create unforgettable memories tonight." Inside, a high-ceilinged, spacious hall with crystal chandeliers awaited us, where several couples were already engaged in sophisticated conversation with wine glasses in hand. The participants, mostly in their mid-30s to early 50s, all exuded a calm and refined atmosphere. The women wore elegant dresses and the men were in smart suits, making it feel like we had arrived at an exclusive social gathering. In such a formal and luxurious setting, I wondered if what we had initially imagined would really take place. Looking around, all participants in elegant attire with drinks in hand engaged in sophisticated conversation, making it indistinguishable from a VIP party at a luxury hotel. The atmosphere was so refined and dignified that I questioned whether this was really a venue for wife swapping. For a moment, I wondered, did we perhaps come to the wrong address? Guided by the friendly staff, Sophia and I took a table by the window. A few couples were already seated, greeting us with, "Nice to meet you. Have a pleasant evening." Premium wines, champagne, carefully prepared beverages, and a full-course dinner were served, and the conversation flowed naturally as it would at an elegant party. "Where are you from? What brought you to participate? How old are your children?" The atmosphere remained cheerful with such everyday introductions, and surprisingly, Everyone was conversing comfortably without formality. No one explicitly mentioned swapping, but a subtle tension and excitement filled the air. At one point, I leaned close to Sophia's ear and whispered, "Honey, is this really a wife-swapping gathering? It seems like such a normal party." To which she nodded with a slight smile and said, "I think so. But the atmosphere is much more ordinary and sophisticated than I expected. I never thought such events would happen in a place like this." At this point, I couldn't imagine how relationships would develop. Looking around at the composed men and elegantly dressed women, I felt a subtle excitement alongside my nervousness. Thoughts like, did I really come to the right place? And this might be a once-in-a-lifetime experience crossed my mind. As the meal progressed and wine and champagne filled the glasses, creating an increasingly relaxed atmosphere, a sophisticated man in his mid-50s, who appeared to be the host, emerged from the back of the room and greeted everyone through a microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special gathering tonight." His calm and dignified voice temporarily halted all conversations, and the atmosphere subtly shifted as if the rules for the main exchange were about to be explained. Sophia and I held hands tightly as we listened attentively to the host's words. The host spoke with a calm yet confident voice. "This gathering is a special place for couples who have been together for a long time to rediscover excitement and overcome the monotony of daily life. I hope all of you share meaningful experiences in a dignified and sophisticated manner. All activities proceed based on mutual consent among participants, and we consider it most important to maintain an atmosphere where anyone can say no at any moment if they feel uncomfortable or unwilling. I hope tonight becomes a precious opportunity to create new connections and experience emotions you haven't felt before." The event host calmly explained the situation. "Originally, we expected 8 couples today, but due to unforeseen circumstances, one couple couldn't attend. We currently have 7 couples, 14 people total." I leaned close to Sophia and whispered, "That's more than I expected." With a nervous smile, Sophia murmured, "I wonder how they'll decide who pairs with whom." The host gestured elegantly and announced, "Please stand and mingle freely. At 9 o'clock precisely, we'll determine pairings and discuss room arrangements." While feelings of jealousy and awkwardness were natural in this situation, several participants seemed experienced with these gatherings. They conversed with relaxed confidence, their laughter filling the venue. It was remarkable how people who'd just met interacted as comfortably as old friends. Sophia and I held hands tightly as we each took a glass of wine and began introducing ourselves. Our conversation started with typical small talk about age, careers, and hobbies before evolving into deeper discussions. Surprisingly, Sophia seemed more at ease than I'd anticipated. Suddenly, a commotion erupted in one corner of the room. I noticed a young staff member hurrying toward the host with a panicked expression, whispering urgently in his ear. The host's face subtly changed, clearly something unexpected had happened. Taking the microphone again, the host carefully said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely apologize, but I have an urgent announcement." His voice carried an unmistakable awkwardness. He explained that one woman had secretly brought her husband without properly briefing him about the nature of the gathering. Upon realizing what was happening, the husband had become furious and stormed out, leaving his wife behind and creating an unexpected imbalance in participants. The host's brow furrowed as he explained, "We should have had 7 complete couples, but now we have 7 women and only 6 men." Murmurs spread throughout the venue. "How are we going to handle this?" And, "Well, this is unexpected," echoed from various corners. Sophia and I exchanged bewildered looks. How is this going to proceed? This unexpected development wasn't something any of us had anticipated. After contemplating for a moment, the host spoke up. "This is truly unfortunate for the lady who's now alone. Since we have one extra woman, I suggest that, as a special exception tonight, one male participant accompanies 2 women." His voice carried an undercurrent of tension. Everyone seemed surprised by this unexpected proposal. A trio arrangement wasn't something any of us had imagined when arriving. The atmosphere in the venue grew noticeably heavier. After careful consideration, the host offered his solution. I propose a drawing among our male participants. The selected gentleman will proceed with 2 female participants tonight. He quickly added, "This isn't mandatory. If selected, you may decline and we'll conduct another drawing. However, we'd greatly appreciate your participation in this arrangement." Among the men, light-hearted comments emerged. "That doesn't sound bad at all. And who'll be the lucky one?" Meanwhile, the women, including Sophia, exchanged awkward smiles, asking, "How's this going to work exactly?" And, "This is definitely something new." As the event needed to continue on schedule, we 6 men lined up to draw lots. When my turn came, I reached out with a mixture of excitement and tension and selected a small piece of paper. "Is this it?" I murmured, unfolding the paper. To my surprise, the word trio was clearly written on it. My ears grew hot as my heart began racing uncontrollably. I had drawn the winning lot. Cheers mixed with laughter erupted around me. "Congratulations, and you're the lucky one." The atmosphere suddenly intensified. The host spoke politely through the microphone. "Mr. Michael Wilson has been selected. Is this acceptable to you? I'd also like your wife's confirmation." Caught off guard, I stumbled over my words. "Ah, well." That's when Sophia surprised me by lightly tapping my shoulder and saying, "Why not? Looks like you're in for quite an experience." Her eyes held both playfulness and sincere understanding. With the other couples applauding and lifting the mood, refusing became increasingly difficult. I carefully studied Sophia's expression once more, silently asking, "Are you really okay with this?" She smiled and whispered, "It's fine. Since we're already here, enjoy yourself. I'll be having my own new experience." I never expected that on our first night trying couple swapping, I'd immediately find myself in such an extraordinary situation. While Sophia's surprisingly supportive response reassured me, a wave of complex emotions washed over me: confusion, curiosity, and excitement about what would happen next. Though Sophia must have felt some jealousy inside, she maintained remarkable composure. With subtle excitement in her voice, she mused, "So now I'll be paired with another man. I wonder who I'll be with," giving me a meaningful glance. The host cheerfully suggested, "Well then, shall we have Miss Sophia Wilson draw a lot as well? This will determine which gentleman she'll be paired with." And soon the women began drawing lots to determine their partners. I couldn't take my eyes off Sophia. My heart raced at the thought of which man she'd be paired with. A complicated mixture of jealousy, curiosity, and excitement coursing through me. Finally, Sophia unfolded her paper and announced, "Oh, I'll be with Mr. Robert." Robert appeared to be a calm, intellectual man in his early 40s. When their eyes met, he smiled politely and greeted her, "Pleased to meet you. I hope you enjoy your evening." With all pairings decided, I found myself with 2 women. One was Jasmine, a vibrant woman in her mid-30s with a neat appearance. The other was Olivia, the woman whose husband had angrily departed, also in her mid-30s with a quiet, elegant demeanor. Both women were attractive in their own ways, but Olivia noticeably carried an aura of tension and awkwardness after the discord with her husband. Complex emotions flickered in her eyes. Meanwhile, seeing Sophia paired with Robert made my heart race in a strange way. Just imagining their potential conversations and interactions stirred a peculiar mix of jealousy, curiosity, and unexpected excitement within me. The host spoke softly into the microphone again. "Ladies and gentlemen, it's now free activity time. Please engage intimately with your assigned partners. Of course, you may refuse any behavior or situation that makes you uncomfortable. Private rooms are available for those desiring privacy. Please use them freely." A subtle tension and anticipation filled the venue. Some couples were already pressing their bodies together in intimate conversation, while others shared wine and laughter while gradually closing the distance between them. Everyone was beginning this special night in their own way. Jasmine and Olivia approached me gracefully. "Nice to meet you, Michael. Looking forward to our time together." They greeted me with polite, yet subtly suggestive words. I nervously replied, "No, the pleasure is mine." Various reactions emerged throughout the venue. Some participants shyly said, "I'm actually quite embarrassed, so I think a private room would be better," before quickly heading to inner rooms with their partners. Others boldly initiated physical contact on the large sofas in the center, saying, "Wouldn't it be more thrilling in an open space?" I felt simultaneously surprised and disconnected from reality, thinking, "This is actually happening." My heart pounded wildly. I could hardly believe I had two attractive women, Jasmine and Olivia, sitting on either side of me. They exchanged glances and carefully asked, "How would you like to proceed? Would you prefer a private room?" Olivia suddenly sighed deeply and said, "Honestly, after everything that's happened today, since we're here, I think it's okay to be a bit more open. I don't think we need a private room." Her eyes reflected complex emotions alongside clear determination. Jasmine smiled gently and agreed, "I see. Let's start here in this comfortable space." And so the three of us settled into a cozy sofa area in one corner of the venue. Looking around, I observed couples already naturally embracing, kissing, or engaging in deeper physical contact on sofas and plush rugs. Though uncertain about what was normal here, I remained seated, somewhat shocked that such a different world actually existed. Jasmine and Olivia sat elegantly beside me, filling wine glasses and continuing our conversation. Upon closer observation, Jasmine had a bright, energetic personality, with a toned physique suggesting she enjoyed exercise. Meanwhile, Olivia, despite her emotional turmoil, maintained a calm and elegant demeanor. I could see in her eyes a determination to fully experience this special night. Both women exuded attractive auras in their unique ways, making my face flush with heat that I tried to hide by quickly sipping my wine. "I'm sorry about this unusual three-person arrangement," Olivia said softly with a slight smile. Jasmine laughed brightly and responded, "No, don't be. This is quite the unique situation. In a way, I think all three of us are lucky. Especially you, Michael," she teased. Too embarrassed to respond properly, I could only say, "Please, don't say that." I felt my mind racing, unsure how to handle this unfamiliar situation. Being with two women at once wasn't something I'd ever prepared for. I also worried about Sophia. Imagining her conversations with Robert and what physical contact might be occurring between them created a strange mixture of jealousy and curiosity within me. The thought of Sophia with another man sent a strange chill through me, like a cold hand brushing against my heart. Looking around, I observed other couples already engaged in intimate exchanges under the soft lighting. On one velvet sofa, a man embraced a woman in a deep kiss, while across the room, other intimate encounters continued, visible even by silhouette. Being surrounded by this atmosphere created a peculiar sensation as if I were floating between reality and fantasy. While anxiously searching for Sophia, I spotted her on a deep purple sofa across the room. Under the dim lights, Robert held her hand carefully, and Sophia sat with slightly bowed head, smiling shyly and nodding in agreement to something he said. In that moment, an intense wave of jealousy surged through me. Despite having two attractive women beside me, seeing my wife with a stranger caused a sharp pain in my chest. Rationally, I understood this was exactly what I'd signed up for at a swinging party, but emotionally, I couldn't reconcile the complex feelings churning inside me. Jealousy and excitement coursed through me simultaneously, making my heart pound wildly like a drum. The thought of Sophia developing a connection with Robert made me dizzy yet strangely thrilled by these contradictory emotions. Just then, Jasmine approached, her subtle perfume enveloping me as she asked gently, "What's wrong? You suddenly look serious." When I barely managed to say, "I'm sorry," she brushed her bangs aside with a gentle smile and said soothingly, "Are you jealous? It's okay. That's normal here. Everyone feels that way at first." Olivia placed her hand lightly on my shoulder and added, "Yes, everyone feels confused initially. But I've heard that when couples share experiences like this, it actually strengthens their bond." It builds trust. Though it sounded almost rehearsed, I figured this was probably standard conversation in such an unusual situation. When I anxiously muttered Sophia over there, Jasmine caressed my arm and said, "Why not enjoy the moment? Looks like she's certainly enjoying herself." With a playful wink, Olivia leaned close to my ear and whispered, "We'll make sure you're satisfied. Don't worry." Her warm breath sending heat rushing to my face. Though worry and guilt about Sophia lingered in my mind, I felt powerless and perhaps unwilling to stop what was happening. Finally, Jasmine and Olivia positioned themselves on either side of me as if choreographed, gently embracing my shoulders and back as they moved closer. I tensed momentarily, wondering if we were really going to be intimate right now, but they reassured me like experienced guides, gradually increasing the intensity of our physical contact. The room's atmosphere grew increasingly intimate. From various corners came sounds of heavy breathing, rustling fabric, and occasional whispers, suggesting several couples were already deeply engaged. Under the subtle purple and blue lighting, everyone revealed hidden desires, creating a scene resembling an enchanted masquerade ball where reality and fantasy intertwined. Beside me, Jasmine moved closer to my neck, the subtle fragrance from her hair enveloping me as she whispered, "It's okay, relax. This is our first time too, the three of us." Olivia murmured, "I never imagined having such a unique experience with two people. Must be fate," as she guided my hand onto her thigh. That touch alone sent shivers throughout my body, and soon both women approached with passionate gazes that seemed to demand my attention. Eventually, our lips met in turns, and sometimes together, as we shared each breath. Olivia continued with deep, tender kisses while slowly unbuttoning my shirt. Jasmine moved more boldly, her hand gently caressing my thigh. Having not experienced such intense encounters since college, this moment felt like a pinnacle of pleasure I'd only imagined in dreams. With two beautiful women, I was completely immersed in sensations that made my mind feel like it was dissolving. They discovered and expertly stimulated all my sensitive areas, moving with surprisingly synchronized rhythm, as if they'd mapped my body beforehand. Jasmine's hands caressed from my chest down to my navel, while Olivia alternated between kissing my lips and neck. In this strange yet intense experience, I momentarily lost all sense of reality and surrendered completely to their touch. I was lost in waves of pleasure unlike anything I'd ever known before, completely captivated by the harmonious movements of both women. The intensity of being with one person was already significant, but having two people simultaneously stimulate every sense in my body created an indescribable, overwhelming sensation. Each time Jasmine's delicate touch synchronized with Olivia's soft lips exploring my body, my nerves responded intensely. These new sensations and rhythms, so different from my marital relationship, transported me to an entirely different realm. While guilt about Sophia lingered in one corner of my mind, that thought somehow intensified the pleasure in that moment. As I surrendered completely to both women's lead, Jasmine became more assertive. Her touch moved with the delicacy of a pianist's performance. Olivia whispered close to my ear, "You're really feeling it," her scent enveloping me. I responded with equal passion, and they too became completely immersed in our unexpected encounter. In the midst of passion, I suddenly heard Sophia's familiar voice and reflexively turned to glimpse her in the distance. Her expression, so different from usual, was captivating and heightened my excitement. Strangely, the contradictory feelings of jealousy and arousal intensified my experience even more. While aware of Sophia's presence, I continued with the two women until everything concluded sooner than expected. We lay still afterward, simply feeling each other's warmth. After resting briefly on the comfortable sofa, I spotted Sophia drinking wine and conversing with Robert. A primal thought surfaced. I wish they would stop now, and as they whispered to each other, laughing and heading toward another area, jealousy and anxiety washed over me again. As the night deepened and the party wound down, I searched for Sophia with mixed emotions. She approached me with flushed cheeks, fixing her hair, and briefly said, "Good job." The slight tremor in her voice suggested she too had experienced a range of powerful emotions. We left quietly, exchanging glances without words. I called a ride on my phone and told her, "We'll need to wait about 10 minutes." Sophia grabbed my arm and asked, "Are you okay? My head feels clearer now. Should we walk a bit until the car arrives?" I nodded in agreement. We stopped at a convenience store for water and coffee, then walked slowly in the cool night air. We barely spoke as we walked. Sophia held my hand tighter than usual while looking straight ahead, and I remained silent with my complicated thoughts. I couldn't determine if everything that happened felt real or dreamlike, though the memories persisted vividly. We had attended hoping to deepen our marriage, but I'd had an unexpected experience. Not knowing exactly what Sophia had experienced, I walked silently through the night, unsure what to say. When we arrived home, our daughter was staying with her grandparents. We sat in the dark living room at midnight, each drinking water as uncomfortable silence stretched for several minutes. Finally, Sophia spoke first. It was really a special night, and I slowly nodded, saying, "Yes." Gathering courage, I carefully asked, "I was with two women, weren't you jealous?" She frowned slightly, fidgeting with her glass, and answered honestly, "Jealousy. Of course I felt it. But more than that, I was surprised by such a unique environment. It felt like being in another world." We continued exploring our feelings carefully. "My heart raced seeing you with those women. How did you feel seeing me with another man?" Sophia asked tentatively. I confessed honestly. It felt like my heart was being squeezed tight, like someone was gripping it firmly. But, honestly, at the same time, I felt strangely excited too. Remarkably, our mutual jealousy and competitive feelings became catalysts for revitalizing our relationship. The party seemed to create a new starting point, sweeping away years of accumulated routine and igniting fresh passion between us. After returning to our normal lives with our daughter back home, daily routines continued. But at night, Sophia became noticeably more passionate and adventurous than before. She suggested intimate encounters in places and ways I never would have imagined. One weekend when our daughter was at a sleepover, Sophia suggested with unusually bright eyes, "Let's go out tonight. How about a special hotel? I want to try something new." Normally, I would have preferred the comfort of home, but she now seemed drawn to novel experiences and locations. Pleased by her transformation, I immediately grabbed the car keys and drove toward the hotel district. Visiting such a place after so long felt refreshing, reminiscent of our college days' excitement. As soon as we entered the hotel room, the striking color scheme and soft lighting transported us to another world entirely. The rich burgundy wallpaper, sleek modern furnishings, and the glittering cityscape visible through the floor-to-ceiling windows awakened sensations we hadn't experienced in years. This unfamiliar space created an intimate bubble that allowed us to focus entirely on each other. Simply being together as a couple in this luxurious atmosphere, so dramatically different from our suburban apartment, was exhilarating in itself. The silk sheets felt impossibly smooth and cool against my skin. When Sophia caught my eye under the ambient lighting and whispered, "Want to try something new tonight?" I nodded, my heart pounding against my ribs. The exotic energy we'd absorbed from the couple swapping party had clearly given us a fresh beginning. We explored each other with a boldness we hadn't shown since our honeymoon. Every caress sent electricity through my body, and we discovered new dimensions to each other despite 15 years of marriage. Sophia's newfound confidence and assertiveness revealed a side of her I'd never witnessed before. As our desire for each other rekindled, I realized with startling clarity how much we still needed each other. It was a powerful revelation when someone so familiar, whose presence I'd often taken for granted, suddenly felt new and thrilling again. A few weeks later, a text message arrived inviting us to become regular participants in the Circle's events. The message outlined the theme, venue, and timing of their next gathering. After receiving the invitation, we had a serious conversation about it and ultimately decided to decline for now. concerned that such intense experiences might be emotionally draining if they became routine. Still, I noticed Sophia occasionally murmuring while we watched TV. Maybe we should go again sometime, her tone heavy with suggestion. The mixture of curiosity and anticipation I detected in her voice stirred complicated feelings in me. To be honest, part of me was curious about experiencing a more conventional one-on-one exchange next time. The thought of Sophia with another man created a tightness in my chest, yet I couldn't deny it also triggered an unexpected, primal excitement. Alongside this were very real feelings of jealousy and anxiety competing for attention. In the midst of this emotional tug-of-war, I reasoned that the revival of passion in our marriage was achievement enough without risking further complications. Occasionally, I worried that Sophia's perspective might differ significantly from mine. Naturally, we kept our experience completely confidential from everyone in our lives, especially our daughter Emma. During company dinners and parent-teacher conferences, we maintained our usual demeanor. That adult party remained our private secret, something we couldn't share with anyone else. Increasingly often, my pulse would quicken when Sophia would lean close and whisper in my ear, "Do it like that night again." Particularly when I'd catch her applying lotion after her shower. Vivid memories of that evening would come flooding back, bringing an involuntary smile to my face. And so, my wife and I ventured into the extraordinary world of a couple swapping circle during a period when our daughter's entry into elementary school afforded us more freedom than we'd had in years. Although my first experience unexpectedly involved being with two women due to uneven numbers, it ultimately breathed new life into our marriage. What began as terrifying and uncomfortable ended up bringing a refreshing vitality to our 15-year relationship. We remain undecided about participating again. If Sophia were to look me in the eyes and sincerely say, "I'd like to try it one more time," I honestly don't know if I could refuse her. I find myself torn between the rational decision to decline and the intense desire to experience it again. Having crossed that threshold, despite the jealousy and guilt, I'm still enjoying the rekindled passion between us. It certainly helped break us out of our monotonous routine. Even mundane activities like watching television or having dinner with Sophia feel charged with new energy. I sometimes wonder what our marriage will look like when our daughter progresses through middle school, high school, and eventually leaves home for college or independent living. Perhaps we'll maintain a conventional, harmonious relationship, or maybe we'll continue seeking new adventures together. Or by then, we might be content with life's simpler pleasures, with these youthful indiscretions existing only as distant memories. Whatever shape our future takes, I hope our connection continues to evolve and deepen. The experience from that glamorous party undeniably remains an unforgettable memory that continues to influence our relationship today. In retrospect, venturing into the realm of couple swapping meant entering territory few would dare explore. It was like an expedition across forbidden boundaries. We were acutely aware of the risk that it could damage our bond or even end our marriage. In fact, we later heard that another couple from that circle was experiencing serious marital difficulties in the aftermath. But for us, it ironically reignited our passion as a couple. The jealousy and possessiveness we felt seemed to make us value each other more deeply. I wouldn't recommend this experience to just anyone. The psychological and relational risks are substantial. Nevertheless, we undeniably reclaimed something vital that had been lost in our relationship. Notably, our expressions of interest and affection increased dramatically, and we became more attentive to each other even in the most ordinary aspects of daily life. What the future holds for us remains to be seen. We might face unexpected challenges, or we might simply continue our regular routines. There are moments when we suddenly realize how precious our partner's presence is, something we often take for granted. At the very least, we gain the valuable insight that the power to transform our relationship lies entirely within our own hands. Whatever form it takes, maintaining a deep awareness of each other is truly precious. We've learned that when interest and communication begin to fade, it's our responsibility to actively address the issue. Tonight, after our daughter fell asleep, Sophia and I sat side by side on the couch watching television when I suddenly flashed back to a scene from that party. The moment when Sophia took another man's hand and disappeared into a room, and my encounters with those two women returned with startling clarity, as vivid as if they'd happened just yesterday. I couldn't read what she was thinking as she sat beside me, but whenever our eyes met accidentally, something electric passed between us, and the anticipation of recapturing that night's intensity made my pulse quicken. When I reached over and gently took her hand, Sophia squeezed mine back firmly.